begin. Now, I'm going to actually be going through and showing you guys some completed but still fairly simple WordPress plugins that I have created for this tutorial. And the idea is to show you that a WordPress plugin doesn't necessarily have to be a ton of complicated coding. It could simply be a small, useful tool in some manner. Basically, anything that you can simplify for a WordPress user might be worthwhile turning into a plugin. I know a ton of people out there, you guys in particular, may already have an idea in mind for some type of WordPress plugin that you would like to create and sell. Even if you don't have ideas, simply by learning how this goes and how to do this type of work, you'll really find that ideas will start to come naturally to you, and you will probably end up having more ideas for plugins than you even have the time to potentially build them, which is great because then you always have some type of work that you can be doing. Now, for those of you that may not already know, my name is Ryan Stevenson. I've been actually building WordPress plugins commercially since 2010, and it's really the primary thing that got me into being an internet marketer, at least in the public eye. I've been sitting around since I was a teenager making money online through various affiliate programs and stuff. But it really wasn't until 2010 when I started breaking out of that shell and starting to interact with others and build products for other marketers. Obviously to earn a full-time living for myself, but it was really more than that for me because I was already earning a full-time living doing what I was doing in terms of my affiliate websites. So it was more about helping people to try to get to where I had been able to get to. And I spent years and years researching and reading and doing all of this by trial and error. And I know a lot of people don't have years to waste trying to figure out the right way to do something to turn it into a profitable career for them. So the entire objective of teaching you about WordPress plugins is to show you a way that you can get into this marketing industry and develop products for other people, whether you want to be in the public eye or not. There is a huge demand for WordPress plugin developers out there right now because most of your typical internet marketers really do not have technical knowledge. They're outsourcing the creation of all of their products and their WordPress plugins and even their sales pages and stuff like that. So the entire purpose of this program here is to not only teach it to you and to save you all the time, but to actually show you how you could do all this stuff completely on your own without spending a single penny outsourcing to other people. You can develop these plugins to sell to other marketers, or you could work alongside of an established marketer and simply create plugins for them and let them worry about the launching of the plugins and simply share the profits, because there are tons and tons of marketers out there who are in need of these types of services. So whether you're looking, to be in the public eye or not, for other people to know your name or not, this is still a path that you can take and honestly earn a very comfortable living, pretty much no matter where you live in the world. Now, to get started with, I'm going to go over to Google for just a minute because I actually need to show you the tools that I use to create these WordPress plugins. And these are not tools that you're going to have to purchase or anything. I simply use free open source software to accomplish the things that I need to accomplish. So I'm not constantly bleeding money out while I'm developing these plugins. So my most favorite tool out of anything else is called Notepad++. For those of you that may have joined me in my original Techie Masterclass series, you've already heard me talk about Notepad++. For those of you that may be new, this is a source code editing program, and it really simplifies things for you and helps to organize the coding that you might be working with, and it really just makes it a lot easier to wrap your head around all of it. Again, this is completely free. Download a copy of it and open up the PHP files that I have provided for you guys for tonight's lesson using Notepad++, so you can actually see the coding for yourself. Now, the other main software that I recommend, it's not really a specific software title. It is simply some type of compression software. It could be WinZip, it could be WinRAR. I know Mac users, I believe, already have some type of compression software that is built in. We're simply going to be using this compression software to take a collection of files and to turn it into a zip file. Because if you've ever downloaded a WordPress plugin and uploaded it to your sites before, you might remember that all those files were zip files, and they actually contained the plugin folder in that zip file along with whatever PHP files might go along with that particular plugin. Just to show you exactly what I mean here, this is actually the first zip file from tonight's lesson. It contains a folder called Techie Masterclass, and inside of that folder is a single PHP file called techiemasterclass.php. This is actually the structure of a WordPress plugin. You have your main folder, and within that folder you have a file that has the same exact name as that folder. And this should be some type of unique name that you have come up with for your particular plugin. Because if you use the same name as any other plugin that is out there and somebody tries to install them both on the same website, it will think that it is the same plugin and one of them will overwrite the other one. So you simply need to come up with your own unique name to use for your plugin. So for this example, I am simply calling this Techie Masterclass. Now, I'm going to open up this techiemasterclass.php file within Notepad++. And this is the first file here that I'm going to be talking to you guys about tonight. Now, what this file is actually a complete WordPress plugin, even though it's only a total of 26 lines of code in length. You can upload the zip file from this first lesson to any WordPress site and activate it, and you won't receive any error messages or anything like that. And what the plugin is supposed to do, it will actually do on that WordPress site. So this is really one of the most basic examples that I could come up with that still actually does something on the WordPress site. So I'm going to be walking you through this particular plugin tonight and explaining to you exactly how it works and showing you in action. And then I'm going to build upon this example in a couple of different stages to make it just a little bit more complicated, to show you a few more examples of how you can use programming in your WordPress plugins to interact with different parts of a WordPress website. Now, to get started with, all of this information that you see at the top of my plugin here, the first 10, 11 lines of it or so, anything that Notepad++ shows here in green text, all of this is commented out text. So it's not actually being processed as PHP coding. However, this information up here exists in this file for the sake of WordPress. WordPress needs this information because it identifies the file as being the primary file for your plugin. Now the information that is up here, everything that is to the left of one of these colon marks, this is essentially a name that WordPress already has assigned to this type of information. So you don't want to be editing anything to the left of these colons. However, everything to the right of it is customized information that applies to your specific plugin that you are building. So you would want to edit this and create some type of unique name to go along with your plugin. Then you can provide a website address for the plugin, a description of the plugin, a version number, start with 1.0.0 for example, and then increment up from there as you continue to develop your plugin and release new versions of it. Provide your own name as the author. You could even provide a completely separate website address then for your author website instead of using just the plugin website. And then the last part here is the licensing. This can be really any type of information that you want. Since I develop commercial WordPress plugins, I simply license each of the plugins that I distribute to people, and each copy is individually tagged with information relating to that person. Whereas you could also create WordPress plugins and distribute them for free through the WordPress repository. And you can actually make money through those free plugins in other manners by generating leads, for example, or putting advertising in your plugin, or simply soliciting donations, or trying to get people to pay for customized work on the plugin that you've created. So there's really a wide variety of ways that you can use these WordPress plugins to generate an income for you. Now, before I actually proceed with showing you the coding here, I want to take this plugin and actually install it on a website real quick so you can see all of this information up top here actually relayed into WordPress. Now, I'm on a WordPress site here. It's not any special kind of WordPress site. It's actually not even a completed WordPress site yet. It's simply a site that I'm using here for this tutorial. I'm going to upload the particular plugin here. Now, within that plugin intro.zip package, if you decompress that, you will see 3 other zip files. And this particular one is Techie Masterclass 1. So I am simply going to select that zip file and then install this into WordPress. Now, after I activate it, you can see that it shows up down here in my list of active WordPress plugins. And all of the information that is provided for it right here is that information that was in green text. You can see the name of my plugin, the description of it, the version number, the author name, and it is linked up to the author website. And then this is linked up to the plugin website. The only information that is not actually shown here is the text that goes along with your license choice. So everything else is displayed over here on this public activated plugins list. So now I'm going to revisit my plugin code here. You can see this same information, all of it is up at the top here. So whatever you put into your own plugin using this custom information is the information that your users are going to see when they install your plugin and have it activated on their websites. Now, moving on down to the actual coding here for this particular example. If you've already perhaps taken my previous Techie Masterclass and know something about PHP programming, or perhaps you just have previous experience with PHP programming, you should recognize that I have 3 functions here in this particular file. If I click on the function name, you can see that it highlights each instance of that word throughout my particular code right here. And this is something that Notepad++ is doing. One of the reasons why I like to use it, because it makes it really easy to understand what different portions of your code are connected without having to, make a bunch of notes for yourself or have just a really insanely great memory. So these 3 particular functions are never going to be called when this particular PHP file is loaded unless code from somewhere else is actually calling these functions for me. And below the functions, I have 3 different lines of code down here. And if you look at the end of each of these lines of code, the value that I have entered in down here is actually referencing one of the 3 particular functions that is in my file. And these 3 lines of code are actually WordPress functions. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply creating different functions in my code that perform a very particular action or purpose within my plugin. And all of this is connected together and also integrated into WordPress using these WordPress functions. The first one here, register activation hook. This WordPress function is called when a WordPress plugin is initially activated on a WordPress site. But then after that plugin has already been activated and it's just sitting there active, this function does not continue to be called. This is just simply a one-time deal here. So what I have done with this register activation function is to specify a function within my own plugin that I want to be called when the plugin gets activated on this website. So it is calling this TMC install function, which you can see right up top here. And when this function gets called, it is running one simple line of coding. And this is the add option function. This is actually another WordPress function here. And what this is doing is it is taking information that I am specifying, and it is saving that information into the database on this WordPress website. But instead of using complicated database information, I actually get to use the entire WordPress system for messing with the database. And they really have simplified all of this. Without these WordPress functions, you would have a at least 10 to 20 lines of code or so that you would need to use to actually make a database connection and to process a particular piece of information to get saved into that database. But WordPress offers you a much easier way to do this, and the AddAction function is one of these particular methods. So what this is doing is I'm essentially saving information to the database, but in order to be able to retrieve that information at a later point in time, I need to assign some type of unique name to this information. So the first value that I'm providing here for this AddAction function is simply a name for the option that I am creating. I'm calling this TMC powered by. Now, the next value here in this particular function is simply the value that I am looking to save for this particular option name. So all this is doing is saving information to my database. Now, the next piece of this is the register deactivation hook. This particular hook is going to only be called in the opposite type of situation, when this plugin is deactivated on a website. So I am providing my own function name that I want to get called when this plugin is deactivated, and then the code that is getting processed is simply cleaning up my WordPress plugin from this website. I simply don't want to leave any trace of my plugin behind, because if nobody comes back and reinstalls my plugin at a later date on this website, then there would just be information left in the database that would have no real use. So the deactivation function, once again, simply is used to clean up or to uninstall your WordPress plugin from the website. Now, the final part of my coding here is using another WordPress function called AddAction. This particular WordPress function is really working in a similar manner to these other functions, except for this allows me to link into a very specific part of the WordPress core coding and to add in my own coding. So what I have done for this particular example is I have linked into the WordPress footer. This is actually a function within WordPress that is used to display the footer content on the public website. So this particular line of code is simply telling WordPress that when it displays the footer on the public website to also call this function and run any code that I might have in it. So this particular function for the footer is simply displaying information on the public web page. The exact information that is getting displayed is the value that is saved for this TMC powered by option. So now that I've gone through and explained exactly what all the coding here does, I'm going to return to the actual plugin on the website here so you can see this in action. Now, when I go to the public web page and refresh my page, you can see down here at the bottom there is a statement that says powered by Techie Masterclass, and it is a link just like it was in the coding for the value that I saved. So all I have done is simply taken this value that I have saved for this option, which actually has HTML coding inside of it. I've saved it to this particular option name, and then I have output the value of that option on my public web page. And this is actually going to get output on every single page throughout the entire public website. No matter what page I visit here, it will always show this little notice down here at the bottom. So this is, once again, the most basic example that I could come up with that was also something that actually worked and something that actually did something on the WordPress site. So what I'm going to do now is then build upon this same concept and get a little bit more complicated with it so you can see how you could make these plugins to be at least interactive with the people that use them, to give them some type of choice when it comes to what is happening in the plugin or exactly how it works. Now I'm going to be switching over to the second zip file here. This would be techie-masterclass2.zip, and the structure inside of that zip file is exactly the same as the first. You have a folder called Techie Masterclass, and then you have a PHP file called Techie Masterclass. And this file right here is the PHP file within the second portion of that example code there. This is actually the exact same plugin that I just created, but I have simply built upon it a little bit more to show you a couple more of the WordPress features in terms of how you can integrate your plugin in with the base WordPress coding. You might notice that I now have 5 functions in this particular WordPress plugin, and down below it I have 4 lines of code now instead of 3 lines of code like I had before. So the difference down here is I have added 1 additional line of code that is calling a WordPress function again for me. This is just like the previous AddAction function that I used to call the WordPress footer function, except this time I'm calling a function called admin menu. And then I simply provide my own function name that will be called in my WordPress plugin whenever the admin menu is accessed within WordPress. And now the administration menu, if I flip back over to my live web page over here, everything over here in the left-hand sidebar is the WordPress administration menu. So I can link into this menu and add my own items to some of the existing menus here, or I could simply create a whole new portion of the menu to use for this particular plugin that I'm creating. So what I'm going to do is, for this example at least, to create my own new section of this administration menu. So I have a part that's completely devoted to the particular plugin that I'm building. This is done by using the add menu page function. This is another WordPress function. And for this function, you simply provide a few different values for it. The first value right here, Techie Masterclass, this is simply the title of the web page that will be loaded when this menu item is clicked. The next value here, TMC, this is the actual text that is used for the link that will be created for this menu item. The third part of it here, Manage Options, this simply dictates whether or not a particular user on your WordPress site, whether they can access this particular menu item or not. Obviously, you have administrators on a WordPress site that can access basically everything, but then you could also have WordPress sites where you have free users that maybe they're allowed to submit some type of user-generated content. You could decide to give them access to features that are added by a plugin, or you could decide to simply prevent them from having access to those features. And all this is done with this option right here. Manage options is essentially preventing this page from being viewed by anybody except for the administrators of a site. So this keeps it out of the public view. The fourth portion of this particular function, this says TMC Menu. This is actually a unique name that I am providing for this particular menu. And this is used so I can identify the menu somewhere else in my coding and perhaps add even more items to it. So I'll actually be moving on to show you how that works here in just a few when I get to the third example for tonight. The last part here, TMC main page, this is referencing another function within my own WordPress plugin. You can see when I highlight it here that it highlights my function down below. So what this is doing is whenever somebody clicks on this menu link in my plugin, it will take them to this page, and the content of the page is generated within the function. So you get to control exactly what is put on any one of these particular pages that you're creating. And once again, this is not intended on being a page that is necessarily used for anything, at least for this particular example. This is simply a basic version of this to show you exactly how this works. And then depending on what you wanted your plugin to do, you could build all that into this one particular function right here. So to show you how this works, I'm going to go back over here to my WordPress site. Now, I could go into this site using FTP and upload that PHP file from my new example to overwrite the existing file that's on my web page. However, since I have zip files for each portion of this process, and it doesn't matter whether the plugin gets removed from the site or not, I'm just going to completely delete this plugin from the website and then simply upload the next one so I can take a look at that. So this time around, I'm going to be using Techie Master Class 2.zip. I'm installing this onto the WordPress site, and then I'm activating the plugin. You can see this time it's still showing up down here as an activated plugin. If I flip over to the public website and refresh it, my Powered By message is still displaying down here at the bottom of the web page. But the one difference here is that my menu item has now been created down here at the bottom of this list. You can see it says TMC. And if I click on this, then I arrive at the customized page that I created. You can see it says TMC, Welcome to Techie Masterclass. This is actually the exact same text that I have right here for my main page. TMC is being shown as the header, and then I'm displaying the text, Welcome to Techie Masterclass. So again, this is the most basic example of creating your own custom page that I could possibly show you, to where it should still click in terms of how it's actually done and how to put it together, and especially that there's really not a lot of complexity to creating these plugins here. It's really, the complexity at least is really only simple or complex in terms of what you want your actual plugin to do. So if you want to create some fast and simple plugins that are not doing incredibly complex things on the website, these plugins can literally be created within a single day sometimes, instead of spending perhaps months and months developing these really complicated plugins. And believe it or not, there's really actually a great market for simple plugins that are only meant to accomplish one particular task. But it makes it really easy to sell those plugins because you have a very specific targeted purpose to both advertise to people and also in terms of how you're trying to sell the plugin. You'd be surprised, but the insanely complicated plugins that have a huge laundry list of features, they will often not sell as well as the simple plugins will, simply because a lot of people don't like complicated. A lot of people like simple. So what I'm going to do now is I want to build on this same example, except this time I want to create something that actually provides some type of interaction with the person that is using the plugin. And this will allow them to have some type of control over what is happening in the plugin. This is the most basic idea behind almost every single plugin that you will create, because 9 times out of 10, you won't want the plugin to work in the exact same manner for every single user that is out there. Or you might need some type of personal information from them. Just as a wild example, like I build a lot of Amazon affiliate plugins. So obviously the users of those plugins need to be able to provide some information for the plugin to be able to work. Yes, Michael. You can put any type of HTML into an echo command here for these pages, and I'll actually be showing you here in this third example how you can even avoid using the echo command completely. You can actually just use standard HTML and CSS coding within one of these PHP functions. This third example now, this is going to be the Techie Masterclass final example. Again, it's set up just like the other two examples. You have a folder with a PHP file inside of it, and this is actually the PHP file. You're very welcome, Michael. Great. I'm glad you are enjoying it and finding it useful as well. Now, for this third example, you might see that there's a lot more to this example than there was to the previous example. But don't let this scare you off immediately, because a lot of this extra text that I have added to this file is not actual PHP coding. It's actually just my own comments that I have added to this file. Since this is the final example, I wanted you to be able to refer back to this file for your own purposes and actually be able to know what each portion of the file is doing in terms of what it's how it's affecting your WordPress plugin overall. So anything that you see in green here, these are simply my own comments that I have added along to this file. If I highlight the word function right here, you can see that I still have a long series of functions in this particular WordPress plugin. And then at the bottom of all those functions, I still have these standard WordPress commands. Now down here at the bottom, you might notice this time around I have a total of 5 commands instead of the 4 commands that I had used in this previous example. The last one I was using was an AddAction for the admin menu. So looking down here at the bottom, you can see my admin menu AddAction command is still down here. So I have simply added on one additional WordPress action to this particular plugin example. Now what this is doing, I'm calling code through the admin init, which is the admin initialization function. What this is doing is when somebody visits one of your WordPress administration pages, it doesn't matter which page it is, it might not even be a page within your particular WordPress plugin. It will call the admin init function and then relay and add on any coding that you have added into your own custom function as well. So when I select the value down here at the end, just like all these other examples, this is referring to a specific WordPress function, or not a WordPress function, a function that is in my WordPress plugin. So you can see up here, I have this same function. And what this is actually doing is I have one line of code in this function, and this is registering a setting within the WordPress system. The setting that I'm registering, this is actually the option name that I was referencing up here, the option that I created and saved to the database, which is also the option value that I am displaying at the bottom of each of my web pages. Now the name here, TMC Settings Group, this is another customized name that I have come up with, and it is simply grouping together the different options that I might want to be using for this particular part of my coding here. Now, I'm only using one of them. If I wanted to use two, let's say I had two different options, then I might have a second register setting command right here. TMC Settings Group would still remain the same with each line of code, and this last part would be all that changed. I could simply change this to TMC and, name of another option, something else that I had saved within my coding that I wanted to be using here. But just since I'm using one particular option, I only need to register one setting. Now, to show you what this is actually doing, I have to go on to the next part of my coding. I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit here and go back to my menu function that I had used previously to create the main menu within the WordPress administration, the link that says TMC in that administration menu. What I'm doing this time is I have added a second command to this TMC menu function, and this is actually creating a submenu item for this menu that I had created previously. To start out with, I am simply referencing the main menu that I want to be adding this onto. So I've used the word TMC menu right here, and this is the same as the name that I provided for my main menu item right here. Using this same thing, you could simply use the word that is referencing the other menus in WordPress, the ones that already exist. Each of these menus have a particular word that goes along with them, just like my unique menu that I have custom created down here. So if I wanted to add a link onto any one of these other menus, I could simply use this add submenu page, and I would just want to reference the specific menu that I wanted to add a link onto. And then the rest of this works just like the previous example up here. I have the title of the page, I have the title of the link, I have the capabilities that manage whether a person can access this particular page in my plugin or not. Then I have a unique name that is used to identify this particular page. Just like I had done up here, I created a unique name. this is yet another unique name that references just this menu item. And then I have a function reference that tells WordPress what code I want to run in my WordPress plugin when somebody clicks on this menu link. So I've highlighted TMC Settings Page right here, and you can see that that is in reference to a particular function that is in this file. Now, this TMC Settings Page, this is actually the page where this settings group and this option that I'm referencing right here, this is where this will actually get used. What I have done here, I'm using raw HTML coding within this PHP function, what I was mentioning previously. You don't have to use the echo commands if you don't want to display the HTML coding for these WordPress administration pages. All you have to do is simply to use a closing PHP tag. Your function is still open until you close it off with a matching curly bracket. So anything in between that is only going to get processed when this function is being called. And this even includes information outside of the PHP coding. So I can close off the PHP coding, use HTML coding that gets processed only on this one particular page, and then I can even jump back and forth as many times as I need to, use more PHP coding, close it off again, and use some more HTML coding. With this particular function here, what I am doing is creating a new administration page for this plugin. And this is a settings page where the user of the plugin can actually visit this page and modify or input some type of information. Maybe they're selecting options that are controlling the way the plugin works. And then obviously they would need a way to be able to save that information so they don't have to constantly revisit it and tell it how it's supposed to work. So this page is accomplishing all of that for us. But the good part about this is that you don't have to use really complicated coding techniques that you might have to ordinarily use outside of WordPress, because WordPress has a built-in system that is designed to handle this type of thing for you. So all you really have to do is initially you want to create a form. This is an HTML form on this particular administration page, and you're going to be posting this form to a file called options.php. This options file is actually a file in the WordPress core, and this file is designed to essentially update these options for you when you want to be able to present them to a user and allow them to change them. So after I've created this form, I need to use some more PHP coding. And this actually integrates this whole process with WordPress with only 2 lines of additional code. First off, I use this WordPress function called WordPress nonce field. What this is actually doing is it's telling WordPress that I want to be saving these options, and it's also providing me with security. Basically, this options.php file right here, this is simply a file on a public website. Anybody could create a script on one of their own websites and try to post information to this options.php file from outside of the website to try to save information to their database. So to prevent this type of stuff from happening, which is obviously a major security breach if that could happen, WordPress handles all that for you right here. All this is doing is it's basically creating some type of unique identifier for your particular form, and then it will be listening for that identifier in the options.php file. So that way, if somebody tries to post to this file without this identifier, then that information is simply ignored instead of it being saved to the database. Now, the next part of this is another WordPress function called Settings Fields. And in this Settings Fields, I am simply referencing the settings group that I had registered previously. TMC Settings Group references TMC Settings Group up here in my register setting function. And what this is telling WordPress is that any of the option names in this settings group, it should be listening for those options when information is posted to the options.php file. So it's basically telling WordPress, I want to be saving options, and here are the options that I want to be saving. So if you create a number of different settings pages on your site, then you might need to have multiple settings groups, one group to go with each page. Because if you try to save information, if you have an option name registered and you're not actually saving the information for that option on that page, then you could simply overwrite the existing information with blank information, because WordPress believes that you're going to be trying to save that information here. So now, once I've used these couple simple portions of WordPress coding to integrate all this into the system, all I'm doing beyond that is simply using some standard HTML and CSS coding to create a page that, is a little bit more than just plain standard text. This is just giving the user a way to edit the information that is saved in the database. And this is being done through this text area, which is actually a field for my HTML form. And you can see right here, I am outputting the value of my saved WordPress option right here into this text area box. So this allows people to not only save a new value for this option, but it even allows them to edit the existing value that is saved in the database for it as well. And then everything else that's going along with this here, I have different pieces of text that will be displayed to, like right here at the bottom, this is actually a description that goes along with this particular field to just tell people exactly what this setting does. So you don't even have to create separate help files for your plugins, for example. Now, down at the bottom, I have an input field. This is just a button that people will click to save the changes for this particular field that they're going to be editing. And so all of this together, this creates a page where people can edit the information that I have saved in to the database. So what I'm actually going to do now is revisit my web page once again, and I'm going to remove the previous Techie Masterclass plugin from this. And then once I have done that, I can go back in and select my new plugin to upload in its place. This one will be the Techie Masterclass final.zip file. I simply install that and activate it on the WordPress site. You can see it shows up down here in my active WordPress plugins now. I have my TMC Menu Link over here on the left. I can refresh my public web page, and my Powered By notice still shows up at the bottom. The main difference here, though, is that when I hover over the TMC menu item now, it actually expands it. It shows me my primary link that is already built in for the main menu item here, and then it shows me the submenu pages that I have also created as links for this menu. And you can see that my TMC Settings page shows up right here. And if I visit that page, then I am shown an area where I can edit the value that I have saved for this particular WordPress option. So I could come in here and simply add on some additional text or completely change it. I could wipe out the whole thing and add in completely different coding if I wanted to. I save the changes on this page and then simply revisit my public web page and refresh it, and the changes are instantly displayed on the public website. You can see I added in the extra word coaching right here to the end, and that shows up on my public web page. So this is really a completed plugin in terms of it allows the user to have some type of control over what is going on, and then it is doing something on your public web page. Now, you might think initially that, what good would this really do? Nobody would really want this particular plugin that I have created for this example. While that might be true, there might actually be some people that would want it, or maybe they would want a modified, specialized version of it. Just for example, a lot of people will add particular things onto their website, like Google Analytics, for example. You could simply have Google Analytics code being pasted into this particular box, or you could fetch that analytics code yourself and figure out the pieces of it that change from one user to the next, and just allow them to enter in those smaller pieces of information to then change the actual code that gets displayed on the public web page. So this exact same example could really just be modified in a few minor areas and be used for really a wide variety of purposes out there. Obviously, each of these would be pretty simple plugins with a simple purpose in mind, but that purpose would be very specific, and it would have a very specific audience that would potentially be interested in it. Now, these same concepts can really be used to expand outward from there by just adding on extra little pieces of coding here and there, building additional functions to do more things, creating additional administration pages in the WordPress site, or maybe even just linking up to different parts of the core WordPress code. This same example can really make a quite unlimited amount of different types of plugins. Instead of linking into the bottom, you could link into almost any other portion of this web page that you see by simply changing that WordPress footer reference to something like WordPress header, for example. You'd be up here then. Or you could even change it into the content, or into the sidebar, or into the menus. Each different part of WordPress has different functions that you can link up with, so you can add your own information or maybe even modify information that is supposed to already be there. Like the content of a web page, you can pick up this information and change it before it actually gets displayed on the public website, even though that information isn't stored in your plugin whatsoever. you can access anything on a WordPress site through a WordPress plugin using various parts of code to integrate into the WordPress system. So just so I get an idea of how many of you guys have actually been able to follow along with me and everything that I'm doing, do these examples that I have shown you guys tonight, do they make sense to you? Do you understand how to put these different pieces together now to actually do something within a WordPress plugin? Or do you guys feel like there might be some extra information there that perhaps I didn't explain a particular part well enough for you or something? All right, great. Michael, thank you. Extremely helpful, he says. Okay, Stan, they do make sense. Okay, Eleni, did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry if I didn't. I will be posting a recording of this lesson for anybody that has attended of it. Yeah, that's right. Stan and James also, you guys will be able to review the lesson again. Okay, you're quite welcome, Eleni. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is I would like to teach as many of you as are interested in doing this type of work. I want to teach you exactly how you can go through and develop your own WordPress plugins, but not just create them. I also want to teach you guys how to actually be able to sell them, because even the best plugin in the world, if you don't have people that can help you market that plugin for you, it really will not perform very well. That's the hardest lesson that I learned, and I learned it the hard way when I first started creating WordPress plugins. I made what I thought was an awesome, most amazing WordPress plugin that anybody had ever seen. It was 5 times as good as the most popular Amazon plugins that had become special offer of the day or whatever, and I put it up for sale and it made, I don't know, 10, 15 sales or something like that. So it's not necessarily about what the plugin itself is. It's about how it's sold, and it's about how many people's eyes you can get it in front of, essentially. And so I'm going to be teaching you guys everything in terms of my exact process and my strategies that I use when it comes to developing my own WordPress plugins and getting them sold out on the marketplace. Let's see, a couple of questions here before I actually proceed. Fulvio says, great job, very helpful. Where can someone find out more info about standard WordPress functions? WordPress has a website set up. If you just type in, for example, type in WordPress space add_action into Google, and that will take you directly to the WordPress page that is talking about that particular function. WordPress has documentations on these different functions of theirs. However, the actual amount of information they provide and how useful that information might be really seems to vary from one page of their documentation to the next, because not everything is documented. And some of the most important things that I have tried to figure out for my own plugins ended up being something that wasn't documented on WordPress whatsoever. So there is a lot of gray area there in terms of trying things out and experimenting and stuff like that. Hello? You lost audio feed, Michael? The rest of you guys still hear me okay? I do know that every now and again I've heard from people that, like a random person might have their audio drop out for a couple of seconds. Is usually, it could be a slow connection or something like that potentially. Okay, good. Stan and Will, you guys can hear me okay, and I'm back on now for you, Michael. That's good. So instead of just simply sending you guys out there blind to develop and try to get these plugins sold, because it is a big marketplace, and there are a lot of established developers out there already, and some of them may be friendly in trying to help you, and others may not like the competition and could actually do anything in their power to try to not necessarily stop you, but simply avoid helping you. So I have some very specific techniques in terms of how to not only get yourself known, but how to get other affiliates behind your plugin launches. And so this entire process, I'm going to be teaching this to those of you that are interested in joining me for additional training. And let's see, Michael, you're also asking about my previous Techie Masterclass. For anybody that joins this ongoing plugin development training, the recordings from my previous Techie Masterclass will be available for those members, just to ensure that all of you know the basic information in terms of HTML and CSS and PHP, how to manage a website. I'm pretty much teaching that from the perspective of a beginner. So I explain literally every single keystroke really that I'm making and what it's doing and how it all works together. So for those of you that may not already know HTML or PHP programming, that's quite all right. You can learn that as you go. That's the way that I learned it too. And so I can tell you from personal experience that it is definitely feasible to do. You don't have to know everything to be able to do this type of work. You just have to know the parts that are relevant to what you want to do. Now, I'm going to be running an ongoing plugin development coaching series where I would ideally like for those of you that are interested to stick with me for a minimum of 2 months. During this period of 2 months, I will teach you everything that you need to know to create and get your first plugin up for sale on the marketplace and actually get some really good income coming in for you. And then beyond that, for those that want to continue to learn, I will be doing ongoing training. Honestly, I don't know if there will ever be an end to it because there's always new stuff to be learning about developing WordPress plugins because WordPress is constantly evolving all the time and coming out with new versions. So for those that do get into my training and find it to be profitable for them, I would like to encourage you to stay on beyond that. However, you don't have to look at this as a permanent commitment if you decide to join me. This is something where you could join me for a month or 2 months and then simply cancel if you're deciding that it's not working out good for you. Obviously, if I'm not able to help you get a return on your own investment, then I'd completely understand you wanting to cancel and not do it anymore. But I've set the prices for this particular coaching program to be affordable. They're monthly payments instead of a big upfront payment. And I've done it in a couple of different levels to where people can essentially pick and choose what might work the best for them and their particular budget. Now, on the screen here, you can see that there is this particular web page. This contains all the information and also where you can join up for this ongoing training program that I will be offering. I have also entered this particular link into the chat box for you if you just like to click on it to proceed over to that page instead of typing it in yourself. The three different parts, the three different membership levels for this particular coaching program. The lowest level, don't think of it as you're missing out on important information with that lowest level. The lowest level is going to give you the exact same information that you would receive in the higher levels, so I won't be holding anything out from you. All three levels will all be participating in the same webinars, so they won't be separated webinars for each different membership level. And there will actually be 4 of these live webinars every single month, so approximately 1 every week or so. And they'll be about 2 hours long apiece, and the first 2 months worth of webinars are designed in a way to give you that jump start into the industry so you can actually create and get your first plugin up for sale. So if you're joining through the lowest membership level, you'll get to attend the live webinars. You'll get to interact with me during those live webinars, and then you'll even get recordings from those webinars as well as the various types of content that I have to share with you guys in terms of training materials, coding examples. When it comes time to actually get your plugin up for sale, I'll have some templates that you can use on your web page, various graphics that you can use, so you won't actually have to do all of this work from scratch. You'll actually get to start from my base examples and simply change some stuff around, make things work the way that you want them to work, and you'll be good to go with a relatively minor amount of work, at least in comparison of what it can take to try to do all this from scratch from the get-go. It took me a solid 6 months to put a lot of this initial basic type of stuff together. When it came to me trying to sell my own plugins, and so I didn't want you guys to have to do it all from scratch. I wanted you to be able to get a quick start in this industry and actually be able to get a product to market, within about 2 months or so. So with the next level up, the middle level that I am offering. Well, first of all, let me jump back to the standard level here for just a second. If you visit this web page here and you're looking at these offers, let me pull up this page right here for you guys just so you can see. Over on the left-hand side of the page, this is the standard membership that I was referring to. This is $97 a month. And again, you could cancel at any time, but I would really recommend to stick with me for 2 months so you could create a plugin and get it on the marketplace, and then reevaluate your position in the coaching program to decide if it's worthwhile and you want to continue doing it, then you can stick with me, and if not, then you're more than welcome to cancel at any time and completely stop. However, at $97 a month for 2 months, this is obviously less than $200. The potential for this type of a marketplace is way beyond that $200. a month. However, you might need to be a little bit self-motivated in terms of watching my webinars and having some interaction time with me through those webinars, and then being able to complete your final product. So in terms of investment, this standard membership is a tiny, tiny fraction of what you can potentially make from this type of work. Just from my plugin development activities alone, from the year 2012, so this was not too long after I had gotten started, and that's like a year and a half ago now, the beginning of 2012. I had over $60,000 worth of plugin sales or related revenue directly to plugin launching and developing, just within 1 year. So you can see how the investment price here is really just a fraction of what the potential is. Now, I'm not saying that every single one of you guys can run out and start making $60,000 this year. However, if you really commit yourself to this, it is not unrealistic at all. And honestly, to generate that type of earnings, I released 4 plugins in 2012, 4 WordPress plugins, one every 3 months, and generated that type of earnings. So, think about what you could do with releasing a plugin every 2 months or even every single month, because there are tons of marketers out there that are doing it that way. I simply have other businesses and aspects to previous things that I have commitments to where I can't just simply sit around every single day and do nothing but create WordPress plugins. So I've only created them every few months or so. But if you can do them all the time, you could seriously even put my numbers to shame. And there's tons of people out there doing it every single day. It's just about knowing exactly what to do and having the right connections to where people are actually going to help you out and back up your products and promote your stuff to their customers as well. And again, I'll be teaching you guys how exactly you can go about doing all that, the exact methods that I used to get started and the methods that I still use to this day to build new relationships with affiliates and to keep those existing relationships strong, so people will continue to promote not just one launch for me, but every single plugin that I launch, as long as they remain a marketer. Now, for those of you that are interested in having a little bit of private time with me every month to discuss your plans, to get some direct feedback from me in terms of perhaps your idea for a plugin or how you might want to go about selling it, or your targeted market, for example, I'm offering 2 additional premium memberships for that extra personal time with me. Now, this is definitely not something for everybody, but if you are ready to hit the ground running and jump into this industry as quick as you possibly can, then obviously the premium memberships can help to give you that little bit of an extra boost, because I'm actually going to be personally helping you out when it comes to helping you to make some decisions to ensure that you can get the most out of the work and the effort that you are putting in to this business, and to also help you to avoid making some common mistakes that some people might run into. So that way you can run everything by me. With the medium membership here, the premium membership, you'll get to have 2 monthly Skype calls with me. They're approximately an hour each. These will be like strategy sessions where We will talk about your plans and what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve, and I'll give you direct feedback when it comes to that type of stuff. So instead of just getting some general training and coaching through the webinars, you can get some advice that is specific to exactly what you're trying to do. And again, this also comes with monthly accountability, because we will have constant interaction with each other. I can make sure that you are staying on track with your goals to ensure that you are getting the most out of this coaching program. And if that means that you release a plugin every 2 months instead of every 3 months, then I feel like I'm helping you in that regard, because you could release an additional couple of plugins every year, which could amount to tens of thousands of dollars more income every year. So now you're not only limited to these Skype calls. If you get like the premium membership right here, for example, you're getting everything for the premium membership in addition to everything from the standard membership. So as you progress to the right here, these memberships are combining with each other. So down here on the far end, yes, I know $1,000 a month seems like a whopping price tag. Trust me, for this type of training and for this type of personal help with somebody that is experienced and established in this industry like I am, $1,000 a month is a steal, because it's really a fraction of what you can be making. Now, the idea here behind this premium elite membership is you get everything with the previous 2 memberships. So you're getting 4 live coaching webinars every month, all the content, all the past recordings. You're getting 2 monthly private Skype calls with me, about an hour apiece. You're getting the monthly accountability, but then you're also getting an additional monthly webinar with me. And this is private, just you and me. You'll get to see my screen. You'll get to hear me just like we're doing now, except since there's only one of you that will be attending each of those webinars, then I can actually allow your microphones to be not muted, so we could sit here and chat with each other, and I can show you specific stuff on my screen that exactly relates to what you're doing. I could even review your own work for you on my own screen while you get to sit there and watch. So it's designed to be a more powerful and also intimate strategy session with me through this monthly webinar. And then in addition to that, every time it comes time for you to have a plugin launch, for the premium elite members, I'm actually going to give you some personal help with every single one of them. And I'll do this as often as once a month. I'll go through this entire list and do all of this help for each of your plugin launches. And this could be testing out the actual plugin for you when it is finished. I'll let you know what I think about it. Could offer you areas where you might be able to improve, maybe even point out some bugs for you, or help get you get those bugs solved if you happen to be having some type of problem in terms of the functionality of the product that you're producing. And then I can also review the sales page for you to ensure that when it comes time, you don't want a public launch to be the first time that anybody besides you has ever seen your sales page. You want to have some type of extra eyeballs on that type of thing that knows what to look for and can point things out to you that you may want to change or do differently, for example. Then in addition to that, when it comes to your actual launch, I'm going to personally contact all of my affiliates that promote all of my plugin launches, and I'm going to ask them to promote your launch as well. And I'm not going to be doing this as an affiliate. I won't be taking any commissions whatsoever from your launch. You will just simply get these new affiliates that will be interested in promoting your plugins. I guarantee that I can bring affiliates to promote any WordPress plugin. If you are doing Amazon-related stuff, I've got tons of affiliates for Amazon-related stuff, but then just for standard WordPress plugins that have nothing to do with Amazon, I've got affiliates for that type of thing as well. And then in addition to that, I'm also going to essentially hook you up with my entire network. I will promote your product as I would promote my own plugin launch, or like I would promote a plugin launch for another developer, for example. Except, again, I will not be doing that in terms of taking any kind of a commission from those promotions. All the earnings generated from that will go directly to you. So beyond all the personal help, I'm also offering free website hosting for anybody in this premium elite membership program. And this is going to be on my own dedicated server, so you get a nice, fast, reliable server that is always up. The hosting company is not allowed to turn off my server. The only time it's ever down is if something happens to the server itself, or the internet connection, which is very, very, very rare. I pay $300 a month for each of these servers that I do, so this is a really great value packed into this one membership. More than worth the asking price, even though it may seem like a lot. You would honestly get a ton out of it. And since there's so much help that I'm offering with this premium elite membership, I have to restrict this. I can't guarantee that a week from now, or even tomorrow possibly, I can't guarantee that there will be spaces available for this. I'm honestly only looking for a couple of people that might want to join this highest membership. So if you do have some interest in that, I definitely recommend to jump on that as quickly as you can while they're still available. I'm going to be running another one of these webinars Monday, and also promoting these replays to other customers of mine, and I really do not expect to be offering this top membership for very long. These are also introductory prices that I have set up here. As this program proceeds and I have more and more content from the monthly webinars for the standard members and the member content from each of those webinars, as that content builds, the price of this program will be increasing. And in fact, I will be eventually doubling every single price that you see on this page right here. However, for anybody that is joining now, you do get to permanently lock in whatever price it is that you are joining at. The increased price would only happen for people that join after those price increases. And obviously this is being done because at that point there would be even more value in this coaching program. And I am trying to give the best of my customers, the guys that, all of you guys that are actually here with me in today's webinar, you guys are my loyal newsletter subscribers, the ones that actually open my emails and read what I have to say, and attend events that I have like this with me. And so I really try to make sure that you guys always get the absolute best price when it comes to different programs of mine. So it's dual purposed in terms of the price increases to give you guys the best price, and also simply because there will be a lot more value in the program initially to offer somebody. a couple months down the road, for example. Below all of the membership options here and the payment buttons to join, I've listed the initial 8 webinars that will be held. I've provided a date and a time for the first one, but I will actually be taking a poll from every single person that joins this coaching program to try to find out what your schedule might be like, what days and what times would work out the best for you, because I definitely want you to be able to attend the live events with me every single time, if at all possible. And if for some reason you miss one, questions are still welcome for anything that was reviewed in a webinar that you may have missed, because I definitely don't want you guys to feel like you've lost something and never have an opportunity to get your questions answered on a subject simply because, maybe your schedule was conflicting with a webinar schedule, for example. And then in addition to those 8 webinars, even more webinars will continue after that. Those 8 webinars would be your first 2 months worth of live webinar topics. And that'll give you all the information that you need to create your own plugin and to actually get it launched and for sale on the market. Do any of you guys have any questions at this point? Anything about this particular coaching program that maybe you'd like a little bit of clarification on, or would like for me to explain something particular for you? All right, thank you, Fulvio. That's quite all right. I completely understand. And best of luck to you as well. You're very welcome, Stan. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend as well. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I guess I'll be seeing you in a couple of days here for my next webinar. Well, I'm going to hang around for a little while, guys, to answer some of these questions for you. If you have anything that you would like to ask about this coaching program before you decide to get started with it. Again, it's no commitment. If you decide to join me and check it out for a little while and realize that it's not right for you, you are welcome to cancel at any time. So there's no long-term commitment to make here. However, for those of you that are looking to build this into a long-term, full-time career, I'm also not going to simply abandon you guys after a couple of months. I will continue to run this training for you for as long as you would like to continue to receive training. And I have tons and tons of great information that I can share with you, even years into the future, simply because WordPress is always evolving. The industry is always evolving. Let's see, Will, I figure one of the prerequisites for making a plugin is to have a good understanding of WordPress in general beforehand. This is not entirely a prerequisite, Will. There are a lot of parts that you can definitely learn as you proceed along. I knew a lot about programming, for example, when I first started as a WordPress plugin developer, but I had really not used WordPress too extensively for too long of a period of time before that. So I knew the basics of it. I knew how to create my web pages with it and everything, but I didn't know all of the ins and outs of WordPress beforehand. So I don't think that that's really a prerequisite to make a plugin, especially since throughout the course of the training, when I'm going through and showing you actual plugin development techniques and giving you example code from it and everything, you'll actually get to learn a decent amount about the WordPress system if you do not already know it, for example. And obviously, if you had questions about something particular, how to accomplish something, or whether it could even be done, a lot of people have a great idea for a WordPress plugin, for example, but may not know whether it's even possible to do within WordPress or not. So I can even help to answer questions like that for you guys. So you could know exactly before you start a project whether it's something that you could even complete or not. There's definitely nothing worse than spending a month on a project just to get to a point where you realize, this can't be done in WordPress, or I'd have to completely change the way I had created everything else in order to accomplish that. So I'll be definitely helping you guys in terms of avoiding all that and helping you to learn various parts of WordPress. And because as an extension, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to connect up with different parts of WordPress. So I'll have to explain how WordPress works in that manner, and then show you how to link up into it, and then show you how to make some changes through your WordPress plugin coding. So I guess I hadn't considered it before, but I guess there will be a lot of actual WordPress teaching when it comes to this whole program, just to make sure you guys actually do have a thorough understanding of everything that you're working with here. If any of you guys have questions, about my coaching program, or what I might be able to offer you in terms of, helping you to accomplish your goals as a marketer, or perhaps just working online in general. If you are looking to supplement your income with some type of hands-off income, developing your own plugin doesn't seem like it's hands-off, but you put forth the work to create the plugin, and once it's created, your commitment to that plugin after that point is really relatively small. You'll have, some customer support to attend to, for example, but it's really not a lot. Even when you get into selling thousands of copies of your plugins, you can still tackle your customer support in a matter of like an hour every day. So this is not something that requires constant everyday upkeep and work to be able to earn a decent income. You can actually have a period of time where you do a lot of work, you get a product out, you release it on the market, and then you can take a month off of work if you want to. And sit back and earn money the entire time you're doing it. So at least in that regard, in exchange for time, and the money that actually hits your pocket, I really, really feel strongly that this is one of the best potential career paths out there that you can take when it comes to being an internet marketer, and especially developing products for other internet marketers, because there's always going to be a demand for it. There's always people out there that are looking to learn more or that may not have technical knowledge. And so they're always going to rely upon those that do have the technical knowledge. And that's really what has given me my position and power as a marketer over the last number of years, because a lot of the other marketers really do not have that type of knowledge. So when you have that kind of knowledge, you have a leg up over your competition. And on top of that, you make more money than your competition does, because they're taking half of their earnings from every single launch, if not more than that, and it's all going to outsourcing. Whereas not a single penny of my plugin sales goes to outsourcing. I do everything completely myself, and it will remain that way in this plugin coaching program, for example. You won't be dealing with other people. I won't be, getting somebody that's not even connected with my business to sit there and talk to you or try to answer questions for you. It's all 100% direct interaction with me, straight from the source. Now, once again, if anybody has questions, please feel free to ask me here. Just type in anything you might want to know into the chat box. I don't mind at all answering questions for you. That's what I'm here for, and I will be hanging out just a little bit longer to ensure that you guys do not have any questions. Right. Well, it's like it is kind of it's programming that you need to know. Like you need to be able to do PHP programming. However, it is very specific programming that is particular to WordPress. Just as an example here, like if I pull back up one of these plugin examples that I was using here, a lot of parts of this code, my functions and like the parts of my functions like down here where it's just simply displaying information, obviously this would be programming that could work on any particular website. However, it's these WordPress functions that I'm using to integrate all of this programming together that is specific and particular to WordPress. And so while I will be teaching about some programming in general, obviously the main focus of this will be to teach you exactly not just how to do the programming, but how to do it with WordPress. And I will be giving many, many very specific examples. So none of this will be left up to guesswork. You guys can learn by my examples, and you can honestly take the examples that I provide you in this training program and simply modify them to work with your own plugins, especially once we get into the next 8 webinars, for example, where I will be teaching you everything that you need to know to create your first plugin. There's going to be a lot of examples and stuff that I will pre-build for you guys, and so you won't have to create all this stuff from scratch. So in that regard, at least initially, my goal is to try to help you create your first plugin without actually knowing necessarily even everything that you're programming. For example, somebody could come into this page here and just edit portions of text or edit web page URLs, change around the names of functions, for example, and make it to work for their own purpose and release it as their own plugin. So I'll actually be giving you guys the freedom and again, and like the legal right, obviously, to actually take my work and to change it around, modify it, and put it out there as your own after you put your own touch on it, essentially. So I would estimate that at least a third to 50% of the potential work that you would normally have to do as a plugin developer, I'll be eliminating that for you guys and actually doing it for you and letting you work off of all the coding examples and graphics and web page templates and everything that I've spent the last 4 years building. Are there any additional questions out there? I still see quite a few of you guys hanging out here. That's quite all right if you just enjoy listening to me talk, for example. That's quite all right. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I don't bite at all. And kind of Will. Let's see. Will is asking if I have a built-up library of sorts of pre-made scripts, and that is what I work with now. To a certain extent, yes, but all of these pre-made scripts, I made them all. It's not a work that's out there floating around the internet, because I've developed a total of 9 or 10 commercial WordPress plugins at least. And so I have all of these different pieces to basically every single one of those plugins that's all the same. It's basic coding in terms of the coding that's interacting with WordPress. Like pre-built functions that carry out particular purposes. For example, administration pages where you might have to save information to a database. For example, like all my WordPress plugins where you're creating Amazon advertisements. You're creating each advertisement, but then you can still go back in on an administration page and select any given advertisement and edit it. And then save those changes, and all this gets translated onto your public website. Well, like those administration pages where you're taking that information and allowing people to save it on your site, and even allowing them to edit it and resave it, delete the information. I have all that stuff, at least the basics of it, all pre-built for you guys. And so it can just simply be reused and edited and repurposed for any given type of situation that you might want. So yes, I will have a pretty nice library for you guys of pre-made stuff, especially when it comes to the WordPress programming. Anything that I cover in any of these coaching webinars in terms of specific things that I'm teaching you about WordPress, all of that you will receive my pre-made scripts for, my example scripts that you can then turn around and change around and do whatever you please to do with them. And not only that, but I'll teach you how to do that in the best way possible to help you earn money, to help you build a newsletter list, for example, whatever it is that you might be looking to do as a goal of developing these WordPress plugins. I can almost guarantee that I've tried it before, and I can tell you the right and the wrong way to go about doing it. Any other questions that you guys may have before I call it a night here? I don't mind sticking around if you have particular things that you would like to ask. However, I don't want you to be forced to sit there and listen to me repeat myself over and over again either. So I'll hang out for just another minute or two unless you guys would like to know something in particular.